Speak to me in my native white language. If you insist, sir. I used to work at a gas station in a pretty culturally diverse area, but overall was basically the border between a very rural area and a suburban area in Florida. The suburban area was more culturally diverse with the different businesses around and access to the highway. The rural area was what you would call redneck country, and anyone who lived there would tell you the same. I'm Filipina and those features kind of show. I have high cheekbones, dark hair, dark eyes, and somewhat tanned skin. I'm more light-skinned because my mom is white, so it throws some people off, but I'm almost never identified as Filipina because I speak Spanish. In that particular area, we had a lot of Spanish customers, so some would overhear me speak to them in Spanish and either look surprised that I knew how to speak it, or more commonly, mistaken me for being Hispanic. One morning, at around 4:30 to 5 o'clock, a Hispanic regular came in and got his usual coffee, water bottle, and a pastry of some kind that we sold. We'd usually talk while he made his coffee because we'd just opened up and it was dead around that time. He was on his way out to head to work when another, easily 6 middle-aged, white gentleman swung open the door with a very annoyed expression. I was caught off guard not only because he swung open the door aggressively, but because there was no other car in the parking lot or at any pumps, so I had no idea where he came from. My regular tells me adios, so I naturally responded with "Pase un buen dia." I think my mistake was that I looked at my new customer before I was done speaking to the previous one, and this made him very angry. He started yelling at me saying I was being racist and that I was racially profiling him. What he meant by that, I still don't know. I apologized and tried to explain that I was talking to the other man walking out of the door, and he cut me off and told me to speak to him in his native white language, putting a heavy emphasis on white when he said it. I then began to say random phrases I could remember in various languages like French, German, Italian, threw a little polish in there, and he went off. Stop. I can't understand what you're saying, you ducking border rat witch. Honestly, that was a new one for me, but I stopped as requested. I looked at him with the biggest smile on my face and told him I'm sorry, sir. I didn't know which white language you wanted me to use, so I was trying all of them to see which one it was. He started calling me racist again, claiming he was going to call corporate on me for racially discriminating against him and not giving him service. I told him that I didn't know what he wanted me to do for him yet because he was too busy racially profiling me and spitting racial slurs at me for me to ask him. He smiled smugly and said nobody is going to believe my illegal ass that he said any of that anyway. I politely pointed to the cameras around the store and told him that I had 8 different angles of him saying all of it to me. His smile vanished. He told me to duck off and go to hell and stormed out. Honestly, to this day, I have no idea where he came from or what he needed from the store, but that experience hasn't and probably won't ever leave me. Sir, wherever you are now, I hope you're a little more cultured and at the very least understand that not all white people speak English. Edit. Oh my gosh, I was not expecting this to blow up like it did. I posted this at 2 in the morning, fell asleep, and woke up to find so many people had seen it already. Thank you so much for the awards and likes. Edit number 2, for all the people commenting it. Yes, I do understand that Spanish is a white language. I just went with languages that I knew he would associate with white people. Obviously, he didn't associate Spanish with being a white language, or he wouldn't have emphasized the word white when basically telling me to not speak Spanish.
Now to the comments. And this was only 4:30 a.m. Hopefully this guy went on to have an absolute rotter of a day.
I hope your day is as pleasant as you are. Or if you're feeling a bit spicier, I hope you have the day you deserve is pretty great, as well.
I use both of these pretty frequently. It's amazing because they generally don't get it until they're out the door, and then come back yelling like a loon, which makes them look worse, and then I can ban them. It's actually a lot of fun. Where did he come from? Where did he go? Where did he come from? Racist ass Joe.
If it hadn't been for racist ass Joe, civilization would have bloomed a long time ago.
What is his problem? Why won't he go? Why is he still here? Racist ass Joe. I love hearing about bigots who get at least a portion of what they deserve. I've always wanted to see someone shout about immigrants learning the language who then got scolded in Iroquois or Sioux.
The native languages are so cool to hear. I used to work in a fabric store, and there are lots of tribes around, each with their own language. It was always so neat for a little old woman who didn't speak a lick of English come in and have to have her grandchildren translate what she needed. And all those bi and trilingual kids are helping to keep those languages alive too.
Absolutely. I'm completely terrible at languages, so I have massive respect for anyone who can master more than one well enough to chat. There's always that disrespect for someone who has halting or broken English, but I say they speak English a lot better than I speak whatever their native language is, so good for them. Gotta love those who don't understand that English is not the only language white people speak.
Had a dude try that on with me once pretending to be Swedish, sucked for him I speak Swedish and sent him to the back of the line, was working behind a bar.
Haha, I actually started to learn Swedish, was doing well, actually stopped though, should have continued. My Swedish friend was actually impressed. I used to run a gas station with my ex-wife. This sounds like a setup for a robbery to me. As I recall it, corporate security division always said to be wary if you didn't see the customer's car at night/early mornings. The second red flag is the behavior. Our security division also said, if the customer is angry from the beginning, especially if he is alone in the store, and escalates in his behavior, it's a way to pump himself up to be able to perform. I think you pointing at the security cameras saved you. In my case, I had a mean Roddy behind the counter. That saved my ass once, and one of the employees once.
Roddies are fluent in 3 languages. 1. Love. 2. Defending its family. 3. Chewing the living ass off of Satan himself.
I think you forgot 4, farting though. What are white language? Google doesn't know the answer, and Bing either.
OP replied. Honestly, I don't even know. I was cherry picking from mainly European countries that typically have pale-skinned people, lol.
Modern Standard Arabic, when it's kind of spoken generically so people with different dialects can understand each other, is called white language. Maybe try Arabic next time, that would have calmed him right down. I'm from the Philippines and I am an accidental polyglot as well. I like to befuddle other people by speaking in other languages.
My ex-mill is from Manila, a World War II bride. Yep, about 90 now. I knew enough Spanish to have a little conversation with her, and her English was just about perfect. Then I asked her once about Tagalog, never having heard it. She drew herself up to her full 4'11", spat fire from her eyes, and growled, "We spoke Tagalog too. They servants." Oh. Apologized for offending her and cooked dinner. When I met Grandmama several years later in her nursing home, the word Tagalog never passed my lips. Dang it. Missed opportunity.
Your ex-mill is a living haciendera stereotype, LMAO. Most likely full Spanish or mestizo. A lot of those Karens aren't even super rich. Maids are just so common in Manila that even middle-class families have them. Is Spain not considered white?
OP replied. To me it is, but I wasn't sure if he considered it white ATM, so I tried to avoid languages/phrases that sounded too Spanish, if that makes sense.
It does. In his head he probably forgot Spain exists and only thinks of Mexico. You should count yourself lucky that you had a brush with Florida man and managed to not end up on the news. LOL, well done. and nice touch throwing in a good smattering of various white languages in as well. I once had a hilarious experience. Friends have told me that I have a rather British/neutral accent, and this one time I worked on a job site in the US. We were using radios to communicate and I had to give regular updates every 3 to 5 minutes over the radio. One of the guys jokingly radioed back saying, "Dude, you gotta speak American, we don't understand British." So, I mustered up my best southern drawl and radioed back, "Howdy y'all, the latest update is blah blah blah. Y'all hear me good? I can do this all day long. Yeehaw." And the entire radio channel lit up with everyone laughing their assets off. Good fun working with those boys.